Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News for, well, we'll call this our Spring Show 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Nolan.
And I'm Valerie Young.
And we've got some news items for you, our CBB, Community Bulletin Board items, and an interview. So stick around for all of that. And we'll get right to it. The first of our news items, here we go. Well, the RCA building in Roslyn is about to be torn down. Plans to demolish the RCA building, which is located at 1901 North Moore Street in Roslyn, could be happening in the next few months. Nearly 2 years ago, in 21, the county first approved plans to replace the building. Its replacement will be a 27-story, 423-unit apartment building. Construction is expected to take about 3 years. You can expect temporary closures of North Moore Street, just north of North 19th Street. The closures will be coordinated that is, between the developers and Arlington County. Demolition hours will take place on Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and on holidays and weekends, those hours will range from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Valerie.
Thanks, Craig. Award-winning artist Teresa Oaxaca is now in the Arlington area to host an amazing weekend workshops. The next workshop, Painting the Dutch Tulip from Life, will take place on April 22nd and 23rd. The two-day class features a live demonstration by Teresa, where she will select, compose, and paint a beautiful flower. She will also narrate all the necessary steps and the process, which allows students to follow along and create their own paintings of fresh tulips. Classes will require supplies, which can be found on the workshop registration listing at arthouse7.com. Art materials can also be purchased at the Art House 7 store. A broad range of art supplies can be purchased at competitive prices at this location. Workshops are open to participants aged 16 and up. Coffee, tea, and other refreshments will also be made available. Again, the location is at Art House 7, and for the fees and more information, visit both arlnow.com and arthouse7.com. Craig?
All right, Valerie, another of our news items. Well, the West Glebe Road Bridge has partially been reopened. Partially, but pedestrians and bicycle traffic will need to wait a little bit longer to use their lane, which runs over 4 Mile Run. They will need to detour on the temporary bridge to the east of the main bridge. West Glebe Road Bridge was completely closed last summer due to severe deterioration. Now one lane is open in each direction. The bridge is expected to be fully open during the summer of 23.
Well, the Boston, Virginia Square Civic Association, along with a few residents, are being sued by Arlington County following an attempt to stop buses from being parked out beside their homes. The Board of Zoning Appeals process was improperly used to prevent the approval of a special use permit. The permit allows the art buses to park across the street from Washington Liberty High School. The parking lot is temporarily being used while a new bus facility is being built in Green Valley. According to the county, there were no actual allegations of harm or even potential harm towards neighbors or residents in the area. Therefore, the Board of Zoning had no authority to hear the case. Arlington Public Schools parked white fleet vans in the same area in 2022. As part of an agreement, the county moved the vans from a part of the site zone for light industrial uses to another zone for mixed use, and art buses were parked in the light industrial zone. This violates an ordinance, a site plan, and a deed to covenant governing the property dating back to 1985, as stated by a letter from the Civic Association from the County Board in May of 2022. The letter also stated that substantial missteps would have invalidated the county's special use permit application to abandon the right-of-way of a former street on the site. Craig?
All right, Valerie, and with a little more on that story, some of the complaints from nearby residents are that the noise is unbearable, and we're quoting now, the buses are toxic quote, end quote, and the vibrations shake nearby homes, causing their properties to become either unmarketable or uninhabitable. Residents claim that this violates county zoning ordinance. In other words, the county board cannot grant permits when the proposed use will affect the health, well-being, and safety of people living and working nearby. Arlington County is currently working on a plan to replace a fence at the south edge of the property and to reinforce the landscaping. The team leading this project has asked for the community feedback for this proposed plan. An updated plan for this landscaping will include the feedback and will be shared at a later date. The community will be notified before any actual work begins. And now it's time for our CBB, or Community Bulletin Board file. With our first item, here's Valerie.
Thanks, Greg. So our first CBB item is a free tax preparation assistance at Columbia Pike. For taxpayers of low and moderate income, certified tax counselors will prepare your return for free. Walk-in appointments are available at Columbia Pike Branch Library until April 15th. Days and times on Tuesday from 12 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., with Spanish-speaking tax preparers available from 4 to 6:30 p.m. Also on Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., with Spanish-speaking tax preparers available on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. To find out which important documents to bring with you, visit arlingtonvalibcal.com. And for more information or to schedule an appointment, go to www.novataxaid.org. Craig?
Okay, Valerie, and now for this week's Spotlight, we're focusing on mental health. Here's Valerie with an interview with Mindful Nation host Aparna Singh.
Well, thank you, Aparna, for joining us on the Arlington Weekly News.
Thanks, Valerie, for having me. This is exciting.
Oh, absolutely. And we actually wanted to talk to you a little bit about Kaiser and Virginia Hospital and the work that you're doing there with regards to bringing consciousness to the professional community. Can you tell us what got you interested in this line of work?
Well, so I'm excited to share this, actually, because now we're in an exciting time where I feel that I've been in this journey of offering more of a holistic solution to the mental health problem, things like meditation, yoga, mindfulness for a very long time. But now it's become front and center in the workforce. People, employers, and employees are really wanting different ways to deal with all the challenges that we face in our work world. Be it mental health, be it emotional stability, feeling good about ourselves. So I am really excited in this time to be able to talk about this. I work a lot with Kaiser, I work with Virginia Hospital Center, and I also work with a lot of government agencies. And it's just been like, people want more and more and different flavors of some of this offering. So I never before did I think it would be safe to talk about things like self-love or meditation in the workplace, right? So now it is being offered, and people are really receptive to it.
Absolutely. And I know meditation and yoga are some of the major topics you discuss on your show. What inspired you to get into yoga, and what inspired your personal transformation?
Yeah, so growing up in the U.S., I actually was like many other professionals. I was obsessed with success. So being that success-driven, obsessed person, when my business, I was running a financial business in Silicon Valley for a company called Gartner. And when that business crashed in 2010, when the financial market crashed, I went through a big shift for myself. So I didn't know what I was going to do at that point. And I went back to India and I went more as a practitioner. So this way of life and being found me. I went to study yoga, meditation, and I've been meditating since I was a child, since a very young age. But I kind of went back to my roots to really live in a spiritual center where, everybody is on the spiritual path, meaning that meditation and yoga is all that they do all the time. And So what happened is I got really inspired to actually, whenever I'd come back to the U.S., people would say, "Hey, can you teach me a little bit about that thing called meditation?" And so and people would like come into my office and close the door and ask me about it. So that's when I started offering it more publicly and saying, "Okay, let's have a session on meditation." And it's one of the biggest. It's exciting that everybody wants to take it on. Right? People are excited to learn something new, a different way on how they can feel better about themselves.
Absolutely. And I see meditation seems to be a center stone of what you're teaching. So what do you feel is the best possible way for people to build a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that one of the best ways is, pick something that you really like, and I think, we need all of it really, because mental health is the main component associated with, there's not a whole lot of focus on how we deal with our mental health. Even as individuals, we're never taught that in school.
Very true.
And we're never really taught that in a yoga class. So, it's not ever offered to us. It's something that we have to seek out for our own well-being. And so having said that, the most important way to do it is to build a consistent practice, really, starting with maybe 10 minutes a day of saying to yourself, okay, I'm just going to sit and observe my breath, or I'm just going to sit comfortably and just be by myself for 10 minutes, no interruptions, no disruptions. And then starting small and then, seeing where that leads you to over time.
Absolutely. And I know mental health and then physical health, it all goes together.
Yes.
And I think that's really important to
the integration is vital, actually. So we always forget about the mental health piece of it. It's like, yeah, I'll get there. When I have more time, I'll sit and meditate. But it really is, when you don't have time is when you need it the most, is what I tell people. So if you're too busy to meditate is when you need to meditate the most. And, and integrating the physical piece is always the best way. And we are also aware of our physical health, but mentally we just don't take the time to bring it up.
Excellent point. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Arlington Weekly News and joining us for this interview. Can you tell viewers where they can find out more information about your projects?
So I'm very excited that in Arlington we have Mindful Nation Radio, where we spend 30 minutes twice a week simply on meditation and calming ourselves down and building kind of a really healthy way for us to start our day. So you can find us, you can find me on my website, www.aparnasane.com, and you can find us on Mindful Nation Radio on WERA.FM.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Valerie.
Great conversation.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Valerie. And to our guest, Aparna Sane, who is host, I got to look at this again, of Mindful Nation Radio for that interview, and some information about mental health for all of us, and meditation. Try it. You might like it. What do you think? All right, we've got a couple more CBB items to send your way before we sign off here. Here's an event coming up for families with children ages 4 through 8. This is called Artsy Saturdays, and it's at Shirlington Library. You can join this group to learn about new artists and do art projects with materials like chalk, tempera paint, watercolors, and colored pencils. This event takes place Saturday, April 1, from 10:30 to 11:30 in the AM portion of the day at the Campbell Room in Shirlington Library. And a final CBB item, here's Valerie.
Thanks, Craig. And our final CBB story is getting practice speaking the Arabic language. The setting is informal, and classes will meet Sunday afternoons at Central Library. Student proficiency is low, intermediate to advanced. The classes are held by native Arabic-speaking library volunteer. This event is free in person, and you can RSVP for an event reminder. Classes will begin on Sunday, April 2nd from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. in the Bluemont Room of Central Library. This event is for adults. For more information on this event and any of our other CBB events, visit arlingtonva.libcal.com.
All right, Valerie. Well, you know, I thought about taking Spanish lessons maybe, but I don't know about Arabic.
Well,
That could be pretty tough, but maybe I should better stick with the language that we're working in right now, which is English, and concentrate on that.
Well, you know, it's always good to learn a new language.
Well, it is, yeah. It's supposed to help kind of clear the cobwebs out of you.
Absolutely.
Learn a new language. But thanks for your interview, and thanks also to Arpana Singh for being with us tonight for our first interviewee. And that's about a wrap for this edition, our spring edition of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your patronage out there. And I'm Craig Nolan.
Join us next time. Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Take care. Be
Take
safe
care.
out there. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Arlington Weekly News. I'm Jennifer Van Horn. Gosh, that feels funny. I don't do that anymore.
No.
You know, Jennifer, I was thinking the other night about how we started out a few years ago. Well, we started out in 1981, the program, but you were with us back in '82, and we were on the program together. Does it feel kind of strange to be doing this again?
It does. It feels very strange, and I'm also very impressed how far Arlington Weekly News has come in the last 3 years since I've been here.
Right, from Lower Wilson Boulevard to Upper Fairfax
No,
Drive.
not distance, but just in your sophistication. This is a very well-produced,
Yes, I think
well-run
so.
operation, and we had some days where we weren't quite sure if we were going to get the
That's
show
right.
on or not.
But we always did.
We always did.
We'd have
Always
to
did.
beg, borrow,
We
steal
always
cameras,
did.
but we went on the air.
We used to have to borrow mics. I mean, we were
Yes,
always
that was the problem.
changing.
Well, that problem is still here. This is the mic that Chadwick will be using tonight.
Sometimes if the producer didn't happen to bring a mic in his briefcase one night, we
He
had
didn't
no
have
mics
one.
for the show.
Or talking about bringing
Or a
things
camera
in.
for
How about when we used to have, I should say, potent liquid refreshments on them?
Well, that never happened.
Okay.
Dave, you're
never
not supposed to
happened.
say that.
Never
This is a
happened.
family television
Right,
show.
it is.
We'll
I
talk
never
about
had a
that.
part and party to that.
Well, how about Cal brought his dog? What was his name?
And then that was fun.
Babaloo.
Babaloo.
Babaloo and the
Babaloo.
tasty road apple snacks. I remember that.
Right.
Very good commercial. Locally produced, owned and operated.
Right.
And you've got in your hand the T-shirt. Why don't you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, this T-shirt here immortalizes on cotton and paint here, or whatever, one of the former co-anchors of the show, Jamie Beckett.
Which one is Jamie? The one with the glasses?
All
and the hat
right,
on?
Dave. And some other guy there who's sitting next to her
Yes.
used to be a regular on the show. I guess he still is, isn't he? I don't know. I
Chadwick.
hear from her once in a while.
Does anyone remember about that shirt?
Gosh,
It
you
has-
know, he
it
used to
has
even
channel-
have hair on his
Now,
face
what does
too.
it, what does it
happened?
take to be immortalized
Now,
on a
it
T-shirt?
has channel
I mean, that's-
33 here.
Yes.
The day that those shirts went to press, is that the right term? We were on channel 3.
That's right.
And they made the decision right before the shirts
What
went
foresight?
on to 33. So we quickly got to the printer, and they made them 33.
And there was another T-shirt we had. It was a blue one, and that never sold pretty well.
That may have been the Whitey's shirt. Oh, no.
No,
No,
it
it
was
was
a blue one.
the blue one that had Arlington Weekly News, but
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
have a face.
Did this one sell well?
Yeah, neither of them sold well.
I
at
think
all.
Don still has a few copies, don't
Best
you?
He tried to give
They're
a few
available
away.
by calling. There's no number on
He
here.
has a warehouse of 20,000. We were trying to fund the
A few
program.
left
We'll
over,
give you a
yeah.
number at the end of the show where you can call and get more of those
First
t-shirts.
one who calls gets a free one.
Well, it was, what, April of 1981 that
With the-
the
We
went
Arlington
on the
Weekly
air.
News first came into existence. So here we are.
Here we are.
And
I've
here we
got-
are,
later.
5 years later. Why don't we
5
see
years
some of,
later.
maybe they'll show some of these
I
old
think
shows
they will. I
that
hope
we
so.
used to
Well,
do.
there's lots of stuff on tape, and I'm sure there'd be something worth looking at for those of you who might have seen other
would be-
editions of the show.
It might be embarrassing also to see the old
Oh, but it'd be
I
editions.
think
Well,
I'm
it'll be
classified
fun.
it myself.
Why not?
Should we go? Should we pause now?
Shall we-
for
let's
this
go to the
message?
tape.
Let's go.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of the Arlington Weekly News. You can follow our show on YouTube. Just search the new Arlington Weekly News. We have a brand new YouTube channel. You can also listen to our show on WERA 96.7 FM.